Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at the Ultimate Marty McFly NECA action figure from Back to the Future Part 2. I love that they use the Drew Struzan poster art for the front. Here's a look at the inside. If this is your first time at my channel and you enjoy what you see here, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Now, there's a lot to enjoy about this figure, so let's dive right on in. I think the sculpt on this figure is pretty great. It might be my favorite sculpt of these initial figures. The best thing I like about this is the jacket. I think they've done an excellent job with the details of this jacket, specifically the texture of it. I imagine maybe they would make this smooth and just not worry about it, but they gave it the appropriate kind of like netted, rough surface texture that it should have. Also, I like that when the sleeves are retracted and bunched together, they included the little ribbed lines, not just at the elbow, but also if you look at the shoulder there, they are included in the sculpt of the shoulder, so I think that's a nice little detail. The pocket flaps look good. The ribbed edges of the sleeves and the bottom trim of the jacket look good. I do think it should be maybe a little darker. In the movie, it's made of like some sort of plasticky material that is a similar but darker shade of gray or black. It's really weird because in some scenes where he's in shadow more, it reads like black, and then brightly lit scenes it reads gray. But either way, it's a little bit darker than the rest of the gray of the rest of the jacket. Anyway, the wrinkling of the shirt looks good. The wrinkling of the jeans look good. They included the pockets sticking out, which is a nice touch. Let's see, the shoes, the Nike Mag shoes, they have done quite a good job with. They included the little lights right there in the back. No Nike swoosh, because Nike doesn't ever lend out their logo for any merchandising. One of my only nitpicks, and I think the sculpt of it's great, is just the ankle joint itself. It's pretty limited, right? Like it stops right there. For some reason, my left one has more of a, like a greater angle. So this joint stops and kind of forces the figure to lean forward more. As far as just points of articulation goes, I had to like position his leg in just the right way to get him to stand upright. Otherwise, he'd want to fall over backwards without me bending him all the way forward at the waist to offset that. But otherwise, the articulation on this is pretty solid. I do like that with the double elbow joint, they did include the little strap flap. Granted, it doesn't connect the way it does in the movie, but you still get the desired effect. It looks flush with the rest of the sleeve, so good job to NECA for getting that right. Also, I gotta talk about the hat. I think what a challenge to convey this hat and its constantly, shifting color scheme depending on what angle you're looking at in the movie. I think NECA has done quite a good job. It reads the way I think it should read, as a singular painted hat where there's only one thing that you can achieve with it. I think they did a good job with it. I think it really works. Now let's talk about this face, because when the final photos of this figure came out, when it came to the likeness, the internet was not thrilled. Let me put it that way. Do I think this looks like Michael J. Fox? No. Do I care? Surprisingly, no, I don't. I've been wanting Back to the Future figures in 7-inch scale for a very long time. I'm a big Back to the Future fan. Who isn't? But when McFarlane Toys kind of launched with like Movie Maniacs and really kicked off like the collector's 6-inch, 7-inch scale format, I've been wanting Back to the Future figures for what feels like 20 years. And to finally have like Marty and Biff and all them in this scale, even if they don't totally look like the characters, and NECA has set a precedent for doing a pretty good job getting likenesses, I don't really care, because I just like having these costumes, like these identifiable characters as action figures. And if it doesn't totally look like Michael J. Fox, I'm kind of okay with it. This is just where my heart is overriding my brain. But I will say, having this in hand, in person, I think this actually looks better than the production photos look. Actually, I thought they looked a little more smoothed over, but like the shading on the cheeks, the edge lines for the eyes, I think the hair sculpt is pretty good. I do like the curl of the mouth. Like, it is a very Michael J. Fox-ish expression, like when he first kind of arrives in 2015 and is kind of wondered by everything. The eyebrow paint is good. The sculpt on the nose is solid. My hair to ear paint's a little messed up there, but oh well. All in all, I'm actually pretty okay with this. Here's a look at the second head. I think they did a good job with the sculpt on the hair, and the paint's pretty solid, especially in the front with these little sections of hair that hang down. I think that's well painted. Eyebrow paint, eyeball paint's pretty good. The open mouth, it's interesting that each Marty figure comes with two heads, and this one, both mouths are open. Like the Darth Vader Marty, his mouth is open. Just the Marty with the sunglasses from part 1 is the mouth closed. It's weird that there's 6 heads with 5 mouths that are open. I feel like we should have more closed mouth heads, but that's just me. The hoverboard looks pretty good. Paint on it's decent. They don't include the little dotted, like little reflective. I don't expect them to be reflective, but the little like sticker line that goes along the edge. But the actual artwork on the front looks good. Obviously, they're not going to get the Mattel logos on the front, but I mean, it's cute and kind of funny that NECA put their logo on it, but if anything, I would just want a red like circle with a little white outline to imply there was Mattel, because that's more accurate than this white with the red border. Also, there's no hole at the front. There should be a hole from where the little stick stand is that he pulls out, but still, those nitpicks aside, it's a pretty good hoverboard. This comes out so you could plug on this section, so you can actually have him hold the hoverboard, or you can have him actually on the hoverboard with this little foot peg. The little bottom section does come out too. I'll show you that in a moment. And you can plug this on and plug this little stand on, so you can actually have him on the hoverboard hovering above the ground. We also get this little Pepsi Perfect bottle. It's very little, but it's very good, very cleanly painted. And we get the little container that it like comes in with a little like peg at the bottom and a little hole at the bottom of the bottle that allows it to like stay in. Lastly, we get this grip hand, which is pretty good for gripping the well, pretty good, yep, for gripping the bottle there. Product placement, gotta have the logo out facing forward. Look at that. Also, I do wish it came with like a more pinchy hand with like a flat paralleled thumb that gripped the hoverboard more precisely, but you can put the hoverboard in his hand. I'm not sure how well this is going to hold it though, unless you got it just the right angle. Well, there's one way to have him hold the hoverboard, just sort of prop it up against his leg, but you can also bend the wrist joint in as much as you can, and then just have him kind of tuck it up against him a little bit more, and I think that looks pretty good. Well, that was super easy. It's cool that the ball joint is snug enough that you can like position the hoverboard at like different angles. All right, I'm a little bummed to report that this is okay, but not amazing. First of all, at almost any angle that isn't like perfectly centered, it'll not just fall over, but the little thingy will fall off the board. One thing worth noting is that the plug can go like further past the hole, so like if you start adjusting it while it's on there and you're holding the base, eventually you might push it off the board just because the ball plug will like kind of push itself off. Also, these little nubbins are not very deep into this hole, so it doesn't really secure it too well. So again, when you tip them at slightly any angle, the board just will come right off the little darker purple thing. So you can only really have him at like a centered, perfectly balanced angle. At least for my figure, one of the things I wanted to do was pose him with his foot on the board and then like his other foot kind of down, like I bend him at the leg, you know, so he's actually like kicking off. But with the balance of the board's pivot point being center and then a majority of the weight being on the back, that's impossible. It'll just fall right off. So that's an impossible pose that I'm bummed about. And also the fact that the foot can't be flush with the board. It's not a perfectly flat foot, which doesn't give me a perfectly stable figure. There is some gap underneath the foot because of the strap. So I don't know, like if you can get him to be perfectly balanced, like it looks kind of cool, but ultimately, I wish these plugs went deeper into the board. It's not that thick of a board to do that though, so it's a good attempt. But even as a decent attempt, if you can get the figure to balance right, and you're cool with this kind of positioning, I think this looks pretty cool. I think the figure itself looks frickin' great, even with the kind of okay likeness. Although I will admit, from certain angles you could see like, oh yeah, that is Michael J. Fox. But just the overall like approach, the kind of cartoonish paint design, it's not amazing, which is interesting because over the years NECA has delivered some amazing likenesses. If you look at like their Terminators, their Dutch from Predator, their Ash versus Evil Dead figures, this is I don't know, surprising. But still, I get it. It's Marty McFly. I like it. I love having this figure in 7-inch scale. It retails for $29.99. As a Back to the Future 2 fan, I think it's totally worth it. I think it looks really damn cool. So thanks for watching, everybody, and if you want, you can follow me on social media. I'll put up the links right now.